I'm Reed. This is Man Cave Guitar Pedal Mania. I'm back in the shop working on a solo guitars kit, an SG style double neck guitar. So here's the body of the guitar. I've just spent some time sanding it down. Needed a little prep work. I'm not going to paint it. I'm going to use a stain finish. But whether you're staining or painting, prep work is 90% of how your finish is going to turn out. It's a very complicated body shape, and I think it would be a real pain for me to paint and get all buffed out. Now, I bought stains from Crimson Guitars in the UK. I think Crimson Guitars has some of the best and most entertaining guitar building videos on the web. If I lived in the UK, I would absolutely go take a class from them, but I do not. Now, one thing that should be obvious but might not be is, unlike paint, stain works with the color of your wood. You can paint any wood any color you want. You might have to primer it first, cover in all of the grain, etc. But with stain, you're working from a base of what you have. So a mahogany body is quite reddish. So it's not like a nice bright white wood that'll take any color stain that you want to put on. So you have to choose colors that are going to be complementary of the tint of the wood itself. And people are always telling you that you should test your stains in a non-conspicuous area. Well, when you're working on a guitar body, there aren't a lot of those, but there are some. So what I like to do is test my colors inside the guitar pickup cavities, because people are never going to see that, but it's still the same wood. So you get an exact idea of how your stain is going to look on the wood of your guitar. So I had an idea of doing a 3-color fade on this. A traditional color for SG style guitars is kind of a cherry red. So I'm going to do the first third of it. Well, actually, I'm going to stain the entire body Crimson Guitars Crimson Red. That should go very well with this mahogany. The experimental part comes next. About 2/3 of the way up, for 1/3 of the length of the body, I'm going to add phthalo blue. Now the blue over the red should make it purple. But how that purple is going to look is going to depend on how the stain interacts with the wood. That's why I have to test it in the pickup cavity. But it won't be very purplish. So I also have just some actual purple stain, and I'll use that on the back third. So if this works out correctly, it'll go red, kind of purplish, dark purple, and I think it'll have a really neat effect. So the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to test my stain in the pickup cavities. I'll come back and show you what that looks like. Okay, here's stain layer 1. As you can see, it's a nice vibrant red. You always get a different response from end grain than you do from flat grain. And you're never going to get a stained finish completely even, because the different density of the wood is going to soak up the stain, especially a water-based stain like this one, at different rates. So I'm going to let that cure for a while, and then I'm going to put the, I always forget the name of this, the phthalo blue. Don't know where that name comes from. Lake or something in the area maybe. And we'll see how that looks. Can't wait to find out. And here we are with the second layer of color. As you can see, rather than going red, blue, and then purple, my test showed that this phthalo blue is pretty intense, and it actually overpowers that purple quite a bit. So I liked the transition red-purple, and then I'll put the phthalo blue on the final third. Now I know that's a pretty sharp line between the colors, but I'm not that good at blending the stains. A real stain expert could blend that and have it coming out looking better. That's a little outside of my skill set right now. So I like the way that is turning out. See, I've carried it around the sides. So right now this body is pretty saturated with water. This is a water-based stain. So I'm going to let that cook off overnight. And then tomorrow I will come back and I will add the phthalo blue to the last third of it, and that'll be the end of the coloring. But so far I am liking the way that that is turning out. Awesome. Can't wait to see how the rest of this project goes. It's day 2. Now I've got all 3 layers of color on the body, and I like the way that that has turned out. So again, the entire body was done red, then purple over red, and then blue over purple over red. And it seems to have accented the kind of naturally reddish colors in the mahogany very nicely. My next step will be to put an oil finish over it. Now, because the oil finish will very likely pull some of the stain out of the wood, the color will end up being a little less vibrant, but that's the price you pay for using oil instead of a clear, like a poly or nitro over it. Also, notice wood being a highly variable material, you just don't get the same color penetration everywhere. Like right in here, that's got 2 layers of stain in it, and it's still lighter than the rest of the body. Now I personally find that very interesting. I think it gives it a good visual look. But people that like their colors completely uniform, you're going to want to use paint instead of stains. That's just the way that those finishing products work. All right, so I'm going to work on the oil finish for the body, and I need to stain the necks, and that gives me a little bit of a dilemma. I will stain, I may just do the backs of the necks natural, just put the oil on the backs of the necks, but I'll want to stain the front of the headstalks. And I can't decide what I want to do with that. I could just go red to match, kind of blend it in visually with the front, or I could do one in purple and one in blue to emphasize the difference in them. Not sure what I'm going to do with that yet. I'll probably decide after I stain them red, but I need to do a little prep on the necks first. It'll be easier if I level the frets and do some of the other work before I start worrying about the finish. So I will get oiling on the body. After having looked up a few more oil finish videos on YouTube, I have oil products. These are all sunken because they came on freight from England. So I have finishing oil from Crimson Guitars. So I'm going to try that out, and I'll use their recommended method, which is putting on the oil, only letting it sit about 5 minutes to penetrate, and then wiping off the excess and letting it harden up overnight. We'll see what kind of results I get out of that. I hope good ones. Stay tuned. Okay, I've applied red stain to the front of the headstocks, and I think I'm going to leave it, pardon me, sawdust. I'm going to leave it like that because I kind of like that blend from the red down. The necks had a lot of sealer on them, so I'm going to leave the back natural. I'm not even going to bother putting oil on it because there is so much sealer on it. I think that they will be fine against moisture. And I have to say, Solo Guitars, well done on fitting these necks. These are the tightest bolt-on neck pockets that I have ever encountered. They are a perfect fit, so I'm super impressed by that. So I haven't started putting oil on anything yet. That'll be the next phase. And here we are just to wrap this up. So I have done, as you can see, a 3-tone body: red, purple over red, blue over purple over red. It's on the front and on the sides. It has several layers of oil on it, first a penetrating oil and then a high build oil. It's got a nice smooth surface. I'm I never have particularly good luck with oil finishes. They sound like they should be really easy, but in practice, I always struggle with them a little bit. But nonetheless, job accomplished. And now it is time to start assembling the guitar, which other than the wiring should be pretty standard. I looked up a wiring diagram earlier from solo guitars, and it's only the 6th string that's hooked up to the tone and volume controls, which I did not expect. So the humbuckers for the 12th string are just going to be what they are, meaning that I will have to adjust the volume with the height of the pickup. So that's going to be interesting, because ideally you would like the 12th string and the 6th string to be about the same volume level. Oh man, once again I see that my camera is going brighter and darker all the time. It hates shooting out here for some reason. Well, regardless, I'm going to work on assembly. I'm not going to video that. And then hopefully when I come back I'll have a completely assembled guitar and we'll see how it plays. So, thank you for watching. I've been Reed. This is Man Cave Guitar Pedal Mania.